I was all set for playing yet more Warzone, dropping into the big map to take on the sweats and the lag and the SBMM and the cheaters. But then something different happened this week. I got a reminder of what a fun gaming experience can feel like, and now I'm not sure I want to have to drop back into Urzikstan, maybe ever again. I'm very lucky to have had early access to what is looking like one of the most exciting new games in recent times. I have been playing Delta Force Hawk Ops. It has soul, it has polish, it has a large-scale infantry and vehicle combat sprawling across land, air and sea. It has a terrible name, and you know what it doesn't have? A price tag, because it's only going to be flipping free to play. Whilst this game might be sounding like it's too good to be true, let one of the biggest cynics on YouTube tell you more about it and why this actually could be the real deal. Before we get into the first of the 3 game modes, let's go back briefly to set the scene of how we got to where we're at today. And it all started with Battlefield 2042 being considered underwhelming at best and a crowdfunding Kickstarter at worst. As a lifelong Battlefield and Call of Duty fan, I couldn't wait for Battlefield 2042. We had a wayward journey throughout the franchise since the departure from Battlefield 4, but with the 2 shiny new Xbox One and PS5 next-gen platforms sitting alongside the evergreen PC in a new cross-platform era, we had everything to hope for that the new game was everything we'd asked for. Combined arms in a near-future setting with the return of our trusted assault, medic, support and engineer classes. But what we actually got was a flop. We were salivating for the juiciest steak that was going to be served up perfectly seasoned alongside the crispiest of lightly salted fries. But instead, we got an undercooked bit of fish that sent us running for the bathroom. And while we left DICE's Battlefield restaurant in our droves, we turned to our familiar and trusted Call of Duty burger. They'd been serving up a delicious special in Warzone, a fresh twist, some jalapeno relish on that quarter pounder that we'd known and loved for so many years. And while COD may have had some attempts to mix up the menu, some less popular than others, like with the vegan burger that was Modern Warfare 2, we have pretty much been dining off the same menu since the start of the pandemic in early 2020. I love COD, and for all the times it makes me want to launch my keyboard and controller, I still love Warzone. But variety is the spice of life, and competition in any market is healthy. So until DICE replace their marketing gurus at the helm with actual passionate gamers to bring us a good Battlefield, we need some viable alternative competition to Call of Duty and Warzone. And before I took you on that long food-themed detour, maybe I need to eat, I promised news of the promised game. So as mentioned, there are not 1, not 2, but 3 independent elements, almost separate games within Hawk Ops. A bit like in COD, you had multiplayer, Warzone and DMZ. It's the same game, but you can play any one of them or all of them. It's completely up to you. The first mode I'll talk to you about is likely to be the bit that everyone will be immediately crying out for. It's called Havoc Warfare, and it's essentially what BF 2042 should have been, but instead of DICE, it's instead being published by Chinese Timmy Studios. While the operators do have some unique special abilities or traits, they are still tied into the 4 traditional character classes of Assault, Medic, Scout and Engineer. So only the Scouts can use a sniper rifle, and one of their special abilities is a recon arrow that reveals the location of enemies, very similarly to a signal flare as seen previously. And the Medic can utilise SMGs for fast movement in close quarters, combined with a special smokescreen and fast revivability that none of the other classes are able to produce. The weapon limitations and abilities all make sense and contribute to the 4 classes having an identity. And more importantly, they give each class a clear, defined role within squad gameplay. You'll be matched up in squads of 4 following a tried and tested formula. You can spawn at set locations on a map, or a player's recon beacon, or even a squad mate. So that teamwork and sticking together is critical for maximising the chances of success and influencing the outcome of the match for your team. And there are 2 Havoc Warfare game modes currently. One is Attackers versus Defenders, where the Defenders have infinite respawns but the Attackers have a limited number of respawn tickets. The match is over when either the Attackers have run out of respawns or the Defenders have been overrun. The second mode is called Capture, where the 2 armies spawn from opposing ends of the map, with the goal of capturing and holding as many of the neutral flag positions as possible. The more flags held, the faster the score goes up, and on to victory! Attack helicopters, tanks, infantry fighting vehicles and quad bikes feature in both modes on maps that give glaring hints at the variety of experience on offer. One of the maps is a rolling hillside where sniping and vehicle warfare is abundant in between the built-up areas. The other map is much more urban, featuring a lot more close quarters gunplay, encouraging flanking routes and sneaky moves to defeat the enemy. Talking about gunplay, it's good. Very good. There are dozens of guns already in the alpha across the usual weapon classes, but they all have different characteristics. There is a vast array of weapon customization on offer, where you can build each gun to your own preference, whether that's ultimate recoil control, handling, mobility, or some combination in between. It goes even deeper with weapon tuning, or balancing I think it's called, but it's something you can take or leave. If that doesn't interest you, you can absolutely have success without using it. If you want to really nerd out on all the stats and have a true one-of-a-kind build, then you're free to do that too. And if you just want to rely on your nerdy pal or friendly YouTube content creator to give you some good weapon builds, they can be shared with the use of a simple code. So you enter the code you've grabbed off my YouTube video perhaps, and don't have to fiddle with 20 million attachment options and balancing settings. What a simple but glorious quality of life change. The guns are immersive. They really suck you in with their sound and feel. When I talk about the extraction game mode shortly, you'll hear about how they take up the realism a notch even further. But in a more multiplayer style mode, you can still hold your breath with any gun to steady your sights and pick off that long range headshot. Ooh, satisfying. Vehicles are powerful without being overpowered. I learned that I'm still absolutely useless at flying aircraft, and perhaps this is best left for the pilot specialists amongst you. Personally, I had much more joy as either an infantry or man in the goodies position in one of the ground vehicles. Good times. The final game mode is absolutely the cherry on the cake, which I'll talk about last, so let's now cover the extraction mode. Hazard Operations. Full disclaimer here, I've never played PUBG or Escape from Tarkov. In fact, my extraction shooter experience goes as far as me and a couple of pals having a regular dabble in DMZ when waiting for the rest of the Warzone crew to get online. What I do know though is that DMZ attracted an incredibly passionate following, and that there is a whole swathe of people out there now wandering the gaming wastelands without a purpose, only occasionally stopping by the YouTube comments section to remind everyone how hungry they are about the loss of DMZ. However, this game can satisfy all. You may be a hardcore Tarkov lifer, you may be a DMZ orphan, or you may be someone like me, someone that wasn't perhaps gripped by the casual nature of DMZ, but is a bit intimidated by the complexity or time investment of some of the other extraction games. I've watched some of my favourite content creators stream some of the recent offerings, and at times have been absolutely bored to tears. Not because of the people, but because of the games. Games where you have time to make a brew during infill because the map entry has a real-time helicopter ride. Absolutely great for the Microsoft Flight Sim fanatics, but to everyone else, you might just have other things to be getting on with. So how does Hazard Ops differ? Well, it's progressive. I eased myself in with Havoc Warfare first and got a bit familiar with the gunplay. Then when launching into Hazard Ops for the first time, it follows a similar mission format and range of maps to DMZ. They are easy to understand and escalate in difficulty at a rate you choose, barring a bit of level progression to access high level stuff. Looting and inventory is far deeper than DMZ, but not daunting. You'll learn naturally as you play by playing about with the things how the mechanics work. The different levels of armour, ammunition types, equipment repair, and the use of medical supplies. I'm getting to a stage where I'm now getting to grips with all of that, and I'm starting to upgrade my home base. My black cell. Sound familiar? This will enable me to craft more and more powerful equipment to take in and contest the best loot and toughest objectives with more powerful enemies. But now for another real kicker. Nothing about this black cell, or this game in fact, is pay to win. Of course, there is nothing stopping any game studio doing a complete U-turn on what they've told their player base at any point, as we have controversially seen with some titles in the past. But as of now, this game developer's official position, as posted on X, is that this game will never be pay to win. So if you want to go buy in-game currency for the latest cosmetics, then that'll be an option. But it should remain a level playing field between the free-to-play players and the Nicki Minaj skins. For info, there's currently not a single hip-hop operator, furry animal, or sportsman available in-game as I make the video. But I'll give you no personal guarantees that one day we won't see a Jackie Chan operator for a tie-up with the release of Rush Hour 4. Because it's a closed alpha, I've been playing a mix of solo and with randoms, and it's been thoroughly entertaining. I've been absolutely loving the tactical side of it. Nerding out on what equipment to take, which missions I wish to complete, and the route to take depending on which of the random start locations I'm given. Managing my inventory to balance battle gear to defeat enemies versus space for recovering precious loot, mission or crafting items. In-game economy could sound boring, but it genuinely adds depth because it stops everyone just buying the best gear every round. Some of it is extortionately expensive. This also cleverly helps regulate encounters so people have equipment in the same ballpark as each other when on similar missions. I.e., as a noob on your little potter about looking to loot some cutlery, armed with nothing but a level 2 potato gun and some stern language, you're not going to run into SEAL Team 6 and get absolutely stomped on as they hunt for King Charles's crown. The matches, at my relative entry level at least, are limited to a maximum of 30 minutes for extraction. And the maps are really well sized. They're big enough to make planning a facet of the game, alongside the decision to either engage or dodge enemies in AI, but they're also small enough that it's not some big jogging simulator either. A good deal of your time is spent exactly how you'd want, engaging your brain. You'll have a plan, and then be constantly adjusting it on the fly, because as we know, no plan survives first contact. I talked enough about meat earlier, well here's one for the veggies. And so onto that cherry on the cake. I talked about this game sounding too good to be true, and what I'm about to say still boggles my mind, but this free-to-play game will have a campaign. AAA top-priced Battlefield 2042 and COD Black Ops 4 both launched without campaigns. I think that's a terrible strategy for a paid game, but absolutely understandable on a free-to-play. There's just no way they're getting their money back, yet here Timmy are doing it. Timmy! I can only assume it's to ensure the maximum possible audience and break down a glass ceiling of Battlefield and COD dominance, making this a long-lasting frontrunner rather than one of those indie games that shows up, everyone plays for a few weeks before disappearing into the abyss, never to be seen again. The campaign itself is set in 1993 and is based around the incident of the US military Black Hawk helicopter that was shot down in Somalia. The subsequent rescue mission went a little like me attempting to win a game of Battle Royale solos, in that anything that could go wrong did go wrong, and its story has been made famous by the film Black Hawk Down, starring Obi-Wan Kenobi and our own General Shepard. The campaign is currently locked out in the menu, so I've not been able to experience it firsthand, but if the rest of the game is anything to judge it by, the graphics will be high quality and it should run smooth as silk on console and PC alike. As a predominantly COD/Battlefield player with a love for single-player open-world games, I have been absolutely gripped by Hawk Ops. My biggest hope is that when it goes to full release, I'm able to coax a few of my friends over from their PlayStation safe space for some cross-play action. I will say it here, it would be madness to not hold back some iota of judgment about the game before it goes to full release. We've been burned with that one before, but I don't think I've experienced a game with so much promise until now. So much polish, so much potential to the depth. They are on track for absolutely smashing it with this title. There's no release date announced yet, but given we're into the closed playtesting, it should be a matter of months rather than years. And if people want to see it, I'd certainly love to bring you more content on this title. If you did enjoy this video, it would really help to drop a like, as otherwise YouTube will give me a jolly good thrashing for making a video outside of Warzone. Hopefully see you back here for the next Call of Duty Weekly Challenge video, but for now, I'm out.